Hi there, and welcome to this ninth session of Pause Fast Forward. I just want to start off by just a quick reminder of what we've been trying to achieve throughout this program. Hopefully you've managed to do this so far. We're trying to create that extra bit of time in the jar by putting in the rocks, the things that are most important to you first into the jar, prioritizing them, not necessarily doing them first, but putting them into the jar, into your calendar first, and then adding the gravel, the things that have to be done during that day, but also having a bit of a filter out about which of those rocks and indeed the gravel could be taken out the jar to create that bit of extra space for yourself. And then very importantly, the first 3 rocks that should be going into your jar, and it doesn't matter what order you do them in, but a lot of people tend to choose to do them early in the day, is that time to think about what's important to you, take an action that and identify one action that you're definitely going to do that day, the second rock that is going to take you one step closer to whatever your personal vision. We're going to be talking a bit more about your vision today. That's what today's session's on. And indeed also planning a beacon, something that's going to be effortless joy for you later in the day that creates a lot of energy for people. And also making sure at the same time, which we spoke about in some of the later sessions, making sure you're spending regular thinking time with those that you share goals with, that you have some joint enterprise with, if you like, with towards those goals. So making sure that thinking time is actually built in. Before we get into today's session, just a quick update on the vegetable patch. You can see there's lots of parsnips are growing, leeks are growing well. There's some spinach beet in there. We've also got some beetroot growing really well. These are being pulled up on a regular basis now, so eat the leaves as well. Really good. Chard and a bit of spinach growing there. Butternut squash a little bit behind, growing next to the celery. Also got the second lot of rhubarb that's come up for this year. It's nearly ready for plucking, as well as the carrots are ready for pulling up. We've got lots of coriander and dill. You can see some salads still in the background of the polytunnel. Lots of that still happening. Courgettes are very plentiful at the moment, pleased to hear. Yeah, 3 or 4 a day coming up for 3 of those plants. And then also we've got the cabbages that are going to take shape underneath the netting to keep the butterflies from laying too many caterpillars on them this year. Tomatoes waiting for a bit of sunshine, a bit like the butternut squash. So they'll be hopefully ripening in the next few weeks. And then we've also got blueberries that are quite a few that are ripe and ready to eat right now. So, quick update. You expect quite a lot of progress, given it's been 3 or 4 weeks, and it's been supposed to be the summer. So you expect that progress to be made there. Okay, we're going to move on now to talk about, go back to and think about those speeches that hopefully you had a chance to think about last time. Those 4 speeches that you did for your thinking forward to your 75th birthday, what you hope people will say about you. So I want you just to take take a look at those now, have them to hand. If you haven't done that session, I'd really advise going back and having a look at that session before you listen to this recording. And I'm going to suggest you fill in your thoughts on a template like this, which I can send to you. Just drop me a line by email or by the channel if you haven't got my email address. And I'll send you through the this template if you want it, or you can create something like this yourself. And the first thing I want you to write down on a template like this, or indeed on a blank sheet of paper if you prefer, is kind of what your values are, the most important values to you are that came out of those speeches, the things that are most important to you, the things that matter to you most in terms of how you behave, etc. And what I'd like you to do is just have a look at those 4 speeches and just capture on this template or just on a blank sheet of paper what values are coming out of those speeches. Maybe they're words that are repeated, or behaviors that are repeated, or things that are important to you that are repeated in those speeches. They might be similar to each other. Just write them down in sort of each one of them down, even if they're quite similar words for now. Just get them all jotted down on there and see what emerges in those values. We'll come back to that a bit later on as well. But just pause the video for a second and think about what those values are for you. Great. So having looked at your values, I now want to ask you to look at your sort of vision, if you like, the vision of how you like things to be in sort of 3 to 5 years' time, but including the vision of kind of the things that you want to maintain, the things that are already good right now as well. So I often use the wand analogy. If you had a wand and you could wave it and it's sort of your what you wanted emerge, what would that wand do? What would be on there? And I'm going to suggest putting it down on this this template using a series of circles. So it might be an exercise you've seen something similar to before. And the first thing I want you to do, and again, looking at your speeches will give you the clues that you need for this, is draw up a series of circles. Now, these circles are going to represent the most important areas of your life. The size of the circle will represent how important that area is for you. And the overlap of the circles will represent how those two things are connected. This will make sense in a second when I sort of populate these circles in sections, but just have a look at all this before you have a go at doing it yourself. So you're going to have different circles for hobbies, for health, for friends, for giving, etc., or different causes or things that are very important to you. So what are those sort of 3 to 6 key most important areas of your life? How could you sort of group them together? And then how do they sort of overlap? And when you've thought about those, and I would suggest waiting for a second before you actually draw these up. I'm going to then ask you to sort of populate the circles themselves, and particularly the intersections, with a vision of how you want things to be. Okay, so I'm just giving you the heads up on this, so you can sort of see how you can use sort of symbols, etc., and how that's going to work. So that's what I'm going to ask you to do in a second. So again, the first thing I'd like you to do is just try drawing up the circles. Make sure you make the intersections big. Make sure the circles are big. Fill up the whole page, or at least this part of the template if you're using the template. And just do that first. And just pop it this up, so you've got your own versions of sort of Olympic rings, if you like, before you start filling it in. But I just wanted to show you ahead, just so you can see that we're going to be writing stuff in there. So do that first, and then pause the video while you do that. Great. So having identified your most important areas of your life and how they interlink with each other, I then want you to populate using a series of symbols, words, scores out of 10, dates, frequencies, etc. How you would like things to be. If that wand could be waved and it created the life you would like to have in, say, the next sort of 3 to 5 years, something like that, whatever seems a sensible time period to you, what would that be? And how would you capture that into being as specific as you possibly can in terms of frequency, dates, numbers, etc. Even if some of those numbers are quite subjective, etc., that are kind of to you. So how would you capture all that? And make sure when you're doing so, you're capturing all the stuff that you actually just want to maintain, the things that are that are already good in your life, the things that you like and you don't want to go. You want to make sure they are maintained, they don't go away, and they are important to you. So capture all those, but also capture the things that maybe aren't where you want them to be yet. They can't be because it's going to take some work to get there, or ideas need to emerge to get there yet. Maybe the plan isn't defined, etc. It doesn't really matter. But how would you like things to be going forward? So really importantly, including all the stuff that's good now. Try not to include anything in there that's kind of an ought to or a should, other people's opinions, etc. Obviously, unless it's someone who's close to you, then you might want to include their opinions in that. But try not to include too many shoulds in there. Things because shoulds tend to be the things that we won't actually put the energy and the effort into achieving. We'll just sort of we'll end up beating ourselves up about not doing it. So just be honest with yourself. Think about, if I had that as a goal, I would be prepared to put the effort in to achieve that. You won't necessarily get it right first time. This is not a one-off exercise, so don't worry too much about that, but try to avoid too many shoulds in here. But be as specific as you can in terms of dates, frequencies, numbers, etc. that you want to achieve. So just I'll give you pause the video and have a go at sort of completing your first version of this. Great. And then having done so, you can kind of use this template if you pull it together and actually I do it on a weekly basis. I print this off and I've obviously invested some time putting this into a sort of electronic format because my vision has sort of stabilized quite a lot. I then print it off and then I use the boxes down the bottom there to put down my daily action towards one of those goals and also recognize what my daily beacon is on an ongoing basis. I also have some extra circles and stuff I tick for sort of various sort of exercises and things I do. So, but it's just as you can obviously adapt it. That's what I'm saying. So it's quite a useful template to use that. And what you'll notice is if you do that on a daily basis, you'll notice what are the elements of these the vision are you actually taking some action towards, which are you not. It also gives you a formal place to sort of recognize that you are taking actions towards things you're putting in your beacon too. What I suggest you do is maybe once you've started this, redraw your vision once within the next week, in the next few days, and then redraw it maybe on a less frequent basis going forward. And what you're really trying to do is evolve that vision into something that looks a bit like this. So go from maybe 6 key areas to maybe sort of 3 to 4 key areas, and from a whole load of values to maybe 3 core values that are most important to you. And you can only do that by noticing which stuff you actually take action towards, simplifying it, discussing it with people you love, people who you share goals with, etc. That's all part of the process. And don't rush it. It just needs to evolve to a fairly sort of stable version of your vision over time. And of course, even when it has evolved to a very stable version, it will still change. Nothing sort of stands still. It's a nice way of capturing what your current version of your vision is, all the things that you want to maintain that are really good in your life, which is really important to recognize. Sometimes we think it's all about, an aspiring vision. Actually, a lot of the vision is already there. And also, and looking at what things you need to progress, and it's also something you can share with other people if you want to. So I just really recommend having going out, seeing how that evolves, and really try and simplify that vision over the next month, because our next call will be in about 4 weeks' time. Next recording will come through. So good luck with that. Drop me a line if you want me to send you through this this PowerPoint template, which you can then adapt, etc. And look forward to hearing how you got on, hopefully on one of the live calls soon, or if not, just via some feedback via the channel or the website. So thanks for taking part, and I'll see you on the next live session, or hopefully you'll be able to listen to the next recording. Bye for now.